Could you share some lesser known insights for our audience that might be thinking about or might be lost in today's business world?
Yeah, for sure. I think the most lesser known thing that I see with the most sophisticated marketers is that everybody always talks about vision and execution, all this stuff. I don't think there's enough people focusing on the who. The reality is, like, I think a lot of marketers, a lot of leaders, a lot of CEOs, they don't truly know who their customer is. So what they
Hmm.
end up doing is they end up either watering down or diluting their brand to try to speak to everyone. And when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one, right? That's number
Hmm.
one. Number
Hmm.
two is they don't truly understand the problem or the transformation that their business solves for. And it sounds trivial, but I'll give you an example. Most of the people that when I find them, even some of the biggest brands in the world, which we work with, many of them get a little bit caught up in that hamster wheel of business and life and whatnot. And they
They're
forget.
caught up in who they are. They get caught up in their brand, don't they?
I think what happens a lot, I see this all the time, like literally 5 times a week, 6 times a week with really sophisticated, successful companies, brands and companies that you probably have in your home or that listeners actually
Hmm.
use. I'm not going to out any of my fellow marketers or clients here, but what I would say is knowing who your audience is, right? Everyone tries to sell features and benefits, right? No one wants to buy your shit. They want to buy a better version of themselves. So the more you can tap into that ethos, my superpower is storytelling. I believe your story is your strategy and how you tell it. That makes the difference between success and failure. And when you lean the fuck into that and you really own that at an emotional level, the resonance of that frequency, the resonance and the ripple effect of that 10x your success. I'll give you a good example. For the longest time, everybody was talking about performance marketing, performance marketing, performance marketing, right? ROAS, lifetime value, lifetime value. Super important, right? I make a shitload of money. My companies make a shitload of money doing that kind of stuff. But you know what I loved? I love seeing brave leaders like Brian Chesky, CEO of Airbnb, coming out and
Mm.
saying, you know what?
Oh.
We got to lean in on brand building, not just
Mhm.
performance marketing, because performance marketing is like the opiate epidemic. And yeah, I'm going to
Mhm.
say it. Whereas it's an amazing thing that can take somebody out of pain, can solve their problem right now. But the long term effects of being addicted on opiates or being addicted on performance marketing means that the second you turn off that funnel, you stop taking that ad drug from Meta or Google or whatever it is, your success drops like a fly, it drops like a stone in the water. So I think what I love is when leaders like Brian Chesky come out and say it, when leaders at places like Nike come out and say it, it's not just about the ad, the performance marketing. It's about the brand. It's about what you stand for. It's about the transformation you create in people's lives. It's about leaning into that true raw realness. I'm purposely not going to say authenticity because it's such a buzzword. The raw realness, right? Gen Z does not trust over polished content, right? We grew up in the era, you and I, where everything had to look perfect. Before we had 4K, it was 1080. Before it was 1080, it was 16:9. It had to look good. It had to be high production value. Gen Z doesn't touch that. Like they don't trust it. They think there's something being hidden, right? Because they feel like they've been being lied to. So when we look at the younger generations, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they want it real. They want it raw. They want to know what their ingredients are. They want to see a see-through bottle, right? They don't want chemicals in their shit. They want to make sure that they're going to hold people accountable, right? I love that. Because what
Mhm.
that means for me as a purpose-driven marketer, it means that the companies I work with now are the people that want to launch products and services and experiences that transform people's lives, but they want to do it in a responsible way. They want to do it where they care about their offsets. They care about the things that they create. So that's why I'm pretty stoked up now because I'm like, you know what? I've been saying this shit for years. No one's listening. But when CEOs of some of these big, smart, successful companies, when Apple says it, when Airbnb says it, now everybody follows like lemmings in the list, right? So now the lemmings are following. What that basically means now is we're all waking up to the fact that like, brand is the differentiator. Brand is the thing that makes you pick this thing versus that thing. And at the end of the day, it ain't just pretty fonts and logos, right? Brand is the space you occupy in the hearts, mind, and wallets of the customer. And it's what they say about you when you ain't in the room. And you're not doing that by just pounding Facebook ads down people's throat or Instagram ads, right? You're not doing that by just making a bunch of churn content and putting that out there. In a world with AI where you can generate something with ChatGPT in the push of a button, how do you differentiate, right? You differentiate by paying attention to people here, paying attention to people
Mhm.
here. right? How do
Mhm,
you do that?
mhm,
You got to know your customer, right? You got to know, in your case, right? You're dealing with athletes that are at a transition point in their life, right? That's your audience, right? That's hella specific. Now, it's not to say that if I'm a woman CEO that's 25 that's building $1 billion company, I don't want to listen to the Lab, right? I don't want to listen to Bapl, right? But it's to say, you know what? This is who we're for. So as a result of it, I'm going to get down with that. I'm going to buy into that. I'm going to believe into that belief. The best brands name their enemy. The best brands say, you know what? We are not for you if you're this, but if you're that, we're us. Ballsy it was to name a fucking water company Liquid Death. People in focus groups said, I will never buy that. Liquid Death, it sounds terrible, blah, blah, blah. Look at their scale. Go to a concert anywhere in the country right now. And at that concert, you're going to see Liquid Death because the deal that they inked with Live Nation, right?
mhm.
Look at how crazy the rabid fan base are of that brand. They took a can and put water in it. It's the same water that I'm drinking out of the filter right now in this bottle. But you know what? When I drink Liquid Death, I feel freaking cool, man. So big ups to
Mhm,
everybody at Liquid Death. I had nothing to do with that. I would kill to work with that brand because you got a
mhm.
bunch of people who are trying to do something different and meaningful, and they're doing it a different way. They recognize brand is the differentiator. So I
Well,
hope that long-winded rant, but you got me fired up today.
no, dude. Hey, Bapl Nation. If Chief Bapl ever needs a day off, I think we have found the host to sit in the seat, and I think his name's Pete Sena.
Give my
Like,
best.
oh, seriously, man. I think we think one and the same in many ways. And I love what you're saying. Absolutely. Because I'm trying to do the same thing here. I'm trying to occupy the heart and minds of a certain audience, those retired athletes, those business leaders, those people that are stuck, right? Because I don't think anybody's really talking to them in a very